if the equipment that you need in order to function wears and requires replacement, which it does, then it should be done in an orderly and planned fashion so as not to create a situation where we have an emergency need and then have to spend an inordinate amount of money in order to accomplish that.
That's not budgeted for.
Yeah, so I think it's good, prudent practice to replace equipment that has exceeded its value. That its value is no longer present, and it happens everywhere, and it is something that we should undertake as we plan for the future. Whether it's a replacement or whether it is, as Christy pointed out, needed for growth. I mean, we've got new residential streets that are being occupied. We'll have a new collector that will need to be plowed. So we just need to be diligent, and as was pointed out, apparently we have sufficient reserves to manage.
Yeah, and the difference between budget and this purchase is about $1,000.
Hey, Dave, kind of to Larry's point about the snowstorm, I know that you all have a system where you track calls from residents for different, and Jody, I think, kind of manages that. Did we see a significant number of calls coming in because of roads not getting to, because of us not getting to roads quick enough?
Yeah, the timeliness of response was definitely down for the most recent storms. I'll say all three of the most recent storms.
And I think I heard, the feedback I think was positive in the fact that they believed everybody was doing everything that they could, but I also think that there was the same amount of feedback that said, people in cul-de-sacs and on some of these side streets, their roads didn't get touched for 2 or 3 days, and I think there was some frustration there. And it's easy to say, well, if we'd had this truck, we'd have gotten to all of them, hindsight, but, and I know that's hard to prove, but in your expert opinion, would things have been done quicker?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had to withdraw smaller vehicles from the residential areas to keep up with just the thoroughfares, because my thoroughfares could not keep up on their own with the 3 trucks. And that's a real tough situation to be in.
So, that to me, that's really the decision. It's not, if either we agree that we want to provide a higher level of service by buying this truck, or we're going to maintain what we have today.
I just want to be equipped to be in that proactive space, not always just reactive. And if we have, the equipment, then to Christy's point, we're going to be able to meet that higher expectation versus some of our brethren to the north and all the trials and tribulations that they suffered through this most recent snowstorm event. So I'm all for it.
Just real quick, I don't really, I'm planning on voting for the truck. My problem with it is that, when it came before us last time, it seemed as if there wasn't a compelling enough case being made for why this truck, needs to be replaced. Mike Press called me and invited me in for a discussion about it, and I told him, you've got to make a compelling case for why it is that you want to spend over $100,000 on a piece of equipment that is built to last and be in service for a long time. Now, if I would have known that the last time when the truck wasn't approved for purchase, that it was going to be taken out of service, I would have been asking different questions at that particular council meeting. I did not know that if we didn't approve that truck last year, that it was going to be taken out of service. Christy, did you know that?
No, but I guess from my perspective, if they didn't need it, it would make sense.
Good enough, but was it your expectation that it was going to be taken out of service, though?
No, but I can't say that.
No, it wasn't my expectation either.
I can't really say that I thought one way or the other. I just knew that I didn't feel at the time that there was compelling argument to purchase it. but it was more based on the need, not necessarily was the vehicle gonna be put in service or not. I
Yeah.
just didn't,
And plus, at that time, it was a matter of, this could break down and leave us stranded. It wasn't a matter of, it did break down, in which case, I think that, just seems coincidental
Well, I
that
guess, I guess
shortly after we decided not to budget or purchase it, it got taken out of service. I think Chris makes a good point. Plus, there's another thing I noticed is that on all the other truck purchases, you mentioned the maintenance records and the hours of service expended from the beginning of the life of the vehicle, and this one you only took a segment of the life starting in 2005. So
No, I
I'm
could-
curious, it just seems like we ought to use the same, I guess, syntax for whether we
Well,
compare one truck purchase to the other and not just
I can tell you,
pull the information out as we need it.
well, since we'd already gone over that, and I'm sorry I didn't do a better, shall we say, presentation last time. But in this case, and to answer your question, over the life of the vehicle, and probably numerous dollar values, as far as inflation, you're talking 24 grand,
So that's,
which is about, the vehicle was purchased in 98 for 32, we spent 24 grand over.
but that number doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, no, that's why I didn't put it in there. So-
Well, I mean, but you chose to put it in all the other numbers for the life of it, and then I see this, it just, to me, throws up a red flag that,
Is there
why
a
are the
question?
numbers, I guess, handpicked for certain segments of time versus
Well,
Well, we're
a
comparing-
uniform measurement? I guess, the other thing is, if we just come up with a form that's less narrative and maybe more, obvious as to what that data, the raw data is, not so much what the opinion.
So David, we're really comparing apples to oranges. I'm not a truck connoisseur, but we're talking about a smaller half-ton truck versus, this small tank of a truck we're talking about. So
That's correct.
There's really, there's no comparison. I get Fotovich's point of having some consistent, benchmarks, if you will, but it's not the same. Is that correct?
that is correct. This is a light truck,
Mm-hmm.
underpowered for its use. If you choose to vote for it, we could use it, and we'll use it heavily.
Okay. How would council like to proceed?
I move we authorize the purchase of a dump truck cab and chassis from Diamond International in the amount of $70,054 and an additional $41,500 to equip the dump truck with dump bed and hydraulics, lights and plow, and retrofit of existing spreader by a separate vendor for a total cost of $111,554.
Second.
Motion Harrison, second Freeman, that we authorize the purchase of a dump truck cab and chassis. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion carries. New business item number 5, consider authorizing the the lease purchase of a wheel loader from Murphy Tractor. David?
This is to replace our loader. A little history on this. Prior to buying this on a lease purchase back in about 2002, as I recall, I think the total price was somewhere around $80,000 over a 5-year period. We were loading with basically tractor-mounted backhoe loaders. We're able to acquire this one. We've used it heavily. It's a 98 model. Currently, it doesn't quite have the reach we need to get over our truck beds, a little underpowered. It's basically estimating about $8,000, $9,000 to make mechanical repairs. Includes basically the pins and bushings for all the basically articulated joints. The hydraulic bucket positioner is out. It's a device, basically you go up, you dump it, and when you lower it back down, it automatically puts it to position to load. The in-cab air conditioner doesn't work. We've got the heater working on it. It's usually cost about $3,000. The trade-in value, as you indicated on the bid list, is $14,000 to the low bidder Murphy Tractor. A lot of the vendors spec'd basically 2 units. In case of the Murphy bid, bid 1 was a lighter unit than we were requesting. Bid 2 matched our specs. Victor L. Phillips Basically, the bid two was a strip